When you think about the 2025 housing market, you're probably expecting a story about some crazy boom or a dramatic bust, right? Well, in Oak Ridge, that's just not what happened. The real story wasn't about drama. It was about something way more interesting, and I'd argue way more important. It was about balance.
You know, this quote just nails it. A year of transition rather than turbulence. I mean, after the last few years of just frantic activity, 2025 was the year the market finally kind of took a breath. It hit the reset button and found its footing again, settling into a much healthier rhythm. We're talking about a return to normal.
So, okay, a stable market. That sounds nice, but what does that actually look like? I mean, for real people, buyers, sellers, what does it feel like on the ground? That's what we're going to dig into. Let's get into the numbers and see the story they tell.
What this all boils down to is a return to a pace that actually makes sense. You know that crazy frenzy we saw a few years back? That started to fade away. Instead, we got a market where you could actually think, where you could make a smart decision without feeling completely rushed, and that's a good thing for everybody.
And here it is, the big number that really sums up the whole year, 3.93%. That's the increase in the median sale price compared to the year before. And median just means the price right in the middle. It's the best way to see what's really going on. And look, a number like that, that's not a boom. It's not a bubble. That's just good, solid, sustainable growth. It's exactly what you want to see.
Okay, so let's look at the story the numbers are telling us. This is where we get to see what's really happening under the hood, you know? And the first piece of the puzzle is all about one thing: time.
Okay, so look at this chart. We're looking at average days on market. See that line creeping up? That's huge. It means houses were taking just a little bit longer to sell. We're talking going from about 30 days to 39. Now that might sound slow, but it's not a bad thing at all. In fact, for buyers, it was a massive relief. It meant you finally had a second to breathe and really think about the biggest purchase of your life.
And this right here, this explains why things were slowing down. This is the absorption rate. It sounds complicated, but it's not. All it means is, if no new homes came on the market, how long would it take to sell everything that's currently for sale? And you can see that number went up too. A higher rate means a more balanced market. It's that simple. And it points to something really important.
And here's the big takeaway. This wasn't a slowdown to worry about, not at all. It was a healthy return to how things are supposed to be. The market was basically shaking off that crazy, unsustainable pace from before and getting back to normal. It stopped being a market driven by FOMO, the fear of missing out, and started being a market driven by actual solid fundamentals.
All right, check these two charts out side by side. They're a perfect picture of supply and demand at work. So on the left, you see active listings, basically the number of homes for sale. See how that line is just kind of gently rising all year? Okay, hold that thought. Now look at the chart on the right. Because there were more homes to choose from, that's the supply going up, it naturally put the brakes on prices. No more skyrocketing growth. This is the market doing exactly what it's supposed to do, finding its balance.
So you might be thinking, why is Oak Ridge so different? Why does its market seem to march to the beat of its own drum, even compared to towns right nearby? Well, it all comes down to the city's totally unique economic DNA.
It's really built on these four solid pillars. First, you've got these powerhouse employers, right? The National Lab, Y12, they create this constant, steady demand. Second, that brings in a constant stream of really smart, highly skilled professionals. Third, you just can't build a ton of new houses here. The geography and the city planning prevent that oversupply problem you see elsewhere. And last, but not least, people who move here tend to stay here. It's a place for putting down roots, not for flipping houses.
So, who is the typical Oak Ridge buyer? Well, think about it. It's often a scientist or an engineer, someone relocating for a great job. They usually have their finances in order, and they're not just looking for a house, they're looking for a home for the long term. And what does that do? It creates an incredibly stable foundation for the whole market. You get smoother transactions, fewer deals falling through. It's just more reliable all around.
Okay, practical advice time. We've looked at the data, we know the why, so what does this all mean for you? If you're thinking about jumping into the market in 2026, either as a buyer or a seller, how do you play your cards right? All right, the game plan is a little different depending on which side you're on. For buyers, get prepared. Seriously, get your financing sorted out before you start looking. The good news is you can be a bit more patient now. But, and this is a big but, when you find that perfect home, you still need to be ready to pull the trigger. Now for sellers, listen up. The days of just throwing a crazy high price out there and seeing what sticks, they're over. You have to price your home correctly from the get-go. And since buyers have more options, making your home look amazing, the presentation, the curb appeal, that's not just a nice to have, it's absolutely essential.
All right, let's pull out the crystal ball. Looking ahead to 2026, what's the forecast? Where are things headed?
Well, the experts are pretty much all on the same page here. They're expecting more of the same. We're talking about continued, steady, healthy growth. The prediction is for home prices to go up somewhere between 2 and 4%. Again, nothing crazy, which is great news. It just reinforces that Oak Ridge is a solid, predictable market to be in for the long haul.
And the why behind all this isn't changing either. Those fundamental pillars we talked about, they're still firmly in place. You've got that limited inventory, and you've got that strong, consistent demand from all the professionals moving into the area. That's the engine that drives this market, and it's not going to stop running anytime soon.
So all this leaves us with one last big question to chew on. You look around the country and you see so many housing markets going on these wild roller coaster rides. But then you look at Oak Ridge and you see this incredible stability. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Could this unique mix, the jobs, the limited supply, the community focus, be the actual blueprint for a truly resilient housing market in today's world? Definitely something to think about.